Hello everybody, my name is Tyler Lloyd and this is my YouTube channel where I document my personal development journey and all that I learned along the way. And one aspect of personal development is personal finances because, well, life takes money. And the books that I am going to be recommending today have changed how I think about money, how I save money, invest money, and have really set me up for some financial success. So I want to share these books with you because I think you will find a lot of value in them. And the first book is Your Money or Your Life by Vicki Robin. And this book is one that I recommended on my top personal development self-help book list. And it is probably the first book that I would recommend to most people who are starting to think about their finances because it's not a traditional personal finance book. You know, it doesn't dive into right off the bat of paying off debt to building out a budget, but really sets a baseline of how you should be thinking about your time and money. Because when making money, you are trading your time for money, and time is the most valuable asset. So this book lays out a series of exercises to get you thinking about, how much time have you spent working and how much money have you earned over your entire life? Yes, there is an exercise where you work through and figure out how much money you have actually earned. And then when you see, how much money you've actually earned and then look at your bank account to see how much money you have, you start to wonder, where did it all go? The way that she thinks about money is very, very helpful to starting your journey on personal finance. So I highly recommend this book if you want to start thinking about money a little bit differently, where you spend your time, your energy, and how you use your dollars to make your life better. So I highly recommend Vicki Robin's book for anybody who wants to start shifting how they think about money. The next book on my list is The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins, and I actually did a full video on this book, which I will link to up above. And this is actually a brand new copy of this book because I gave my other copy away to a friend. I've given away several copies of this book because this is my favorite. This is my favorite personal finance book, but it's not my first recommendation because I think that it's more important to frame how you think about money before diving into some of the technicalities of saving and investing. But The Simple Path to Wealth is absolutely excellent. And really, if you want to maybe retire early, I am part of the FIRE movement, someone who is trying to reach financial independence and be able to retire early well before the age of 67, the normal retirement age in the United States. This book is going to be very, very helpful of understanding, okay, how can I get down my expenses? Can I live on 50% of my income? So then I have that other 50% to invest. And then where do you invest it? The stock market seems scary. It's up and down, it's volatile. You hear people about losing their life savings in the stock market. But J.L. Collins lays out, given his decades of experience of investing, losing money. He has some stories in here where in the early 80s that he made those mistakes that other people make. And because he has made those mistakes, he is poised to be able to give you some great information about how you can avoid those mistakes as well. So if you want to get into investing and build out your financial safety net, I really recommend The Simple Path to Wealth because it is a pretty simple path to wealth. The next book on my list would be Meet the Frugal Woods, which actually I don't have a physical copy because I read it on my Kindle and actually checked out the book from the library. So that is a great frugal tip for you. But Meet the Frugal Woods by Elizabeth Willard Thames is a book that applies a lot of the same principles that J.L. Collins talks about in The Simple Path to Wealth, but provides it in a more narrative format. It gives you the story of one couple's journey to reaching financial independence, about saving money while working at an NGO and not making a lot of money, being able to buy a house in Boston, Massachusetts, which is one of the most expensive housing markets in the United States, and eventually being able to retire to a farm in Vermont. So if you want to get the narrative of one person's journey to reaching financial independence, I really liked Meet the Frugal Woods. I've read several books that have similar stories, and I can link to some of those down below, but I really connected with her writing style. And I've read a ton of personal finance books. Personal finance books are one of the things I enjoy reading. I'm a little weird that way, but I'm really big into personal finance. And after reading all those books, that's why I have these recommendations, which I really stand by. If you have any personal finance books that you've read and enjoyed, let me know in a comment down below. I'm always looking for a new read in the genre. And because I read so many personal finance books and I'm into personal finance, I actually am part of a book club that reads personal finance books. And this next book was a book that I reread as part of this book club. I had read it once before, the older version, and then I read the updated version as part of the book club. And that book is I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. And yet again, this is another book that I don't have the physical copy because I got it from the library. And this book is a book that I do not have on my recommendations list on my website. Because while I enjoyed the book and I'm recommending the book now, the book has been met with some criticism. At least it was met by a lot of criticism from my book club that they didn't like Ramit's tone and writing style. And I get it. Ramit can be a little crass. He can be a little bold, a little aggressive in the way that he writes. But if those things don't bother you, I think this is a good book for you. Everybody could benefit from the things that he talks about in his book, but if you have a early 20-something-year-old male in your life, I think that this would be a book that really resonates with them, and that's why it's on my list. But funny enough, out of all the books that we read in this book club so far, this book generated the most action. And that's one reason why I really like this book, because it gives you lots of actionable items. And that's why it made my list of the top 5 personal finance books. And last but not least would be The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. This isn't a personal finance book per se, but when I read this book back in 2012, it changed the way that I think about structuring my life. Tim Ferriss talks about lifestyle design and really engineering the life that you want to live. One of the concepts in there is talking about, say you want to start a business, and a lot of people are scared of going out on a limb, starting a business, because they need to make sure that they need enough money to be able to, live and survive. Well, he has an exercise in there that says, okay, well, what does it really take for you to live, to get by, where you're, comfortable enough? What's that monthly number? Well, there you go. That's your target. And this may seem simple to you, but at the time reading this, it was very sort of life-changing, that he started introducing these ideas that you didn't have to get a job and stick with that same job for 40 years and then retire when you're in your 60s and then live a normal standard American life in retirement. You could change things. You could start looking at your life a little bit differently and structuring things in such a way that they serve you, even if they don't fit the traditional mold that everyone else is following. Because if you want to live a life that is different from others, you have to do different things. So this is why this book is on my list, because it talks a lot about structuring your life, your work life, making money, starting businesses, and just gives you a mindset of how to think about things a little bit differently. So that is why it is on my list as a personal finance book. If you enjoyed this video, I think you might also enjoy the video where I talk about 60 ways to save money, or the video where I talk about how we increased our net worth $100,000 over a year. Thank you very much. See you guys later. Bye.